The 1980 Grand Prix season began in the Argentine in January. It ends here today at Uotkins-Glen in New York State with the maple leaves turning and a chilly atmosphere for Formula One after a swift dash down from last weekend's Canadian Grand Prix. It's the farewell race for last year's retiring world champion Jody Scheckter and the first race as world champion for his successor Alan Jones. And with contracts still to be agreed for 1981, everyone will be going as hard as they can to improve their position in the championship table and their chances for next year. Because behind Jones and Nelson Piquet, the two top men of 1980 whose places can't be challenged, it's still close in the championship with only 12 points spanning the next four. And it's a smoother, faster 3.7-mile lap at Uotkins-Glen this year for the bumpy track, which is ravaged by the bitter winter ice and snows just been completely resurfaced. And it certainly showed in practice. For Bruno Giacomelli, fastest of all for the first time in his short Grand Prix career, lapped over 2 seconds faster than last year's pole time. And for the first time since 1951, it's an Alfa Romeo at the head of the grid.
From Watkins-Glen, New York, this is the 1980 Toyota Grand Prix of the United States. For the 22nd time, the world's finest Formula One drivers battled for the checkered flag on one of the world's toughest racetracks. This program is brought to you by Toyota, who invites you to see all the 1981 cars and trucks at your local Toyota dealers. Oh, what a feeling to drive a Toyota. And by Valvoline. All kinds of weather, all kinds of driving. Valvoline is the motor oil that's not just for winning races.
Hi, everybody, from Watkins-Glen, New York. I'm Don Earl, your host for this afternoon's 22nd annual Toyota U.S. Grand Prix from Watkins-Glen, New York. This would have been the final race, is the final race, but would have been the run for the World Drivers' Championship had not Alan Jones nailed that down in the Canadian Grand Prix up in Quebec. However, there's a lot of stories this afternoon as over 70,000 fans are on hand on a cool autumn day to view the running of this afternoon's Grand Prix from Watkins-Glen. And to tell us about some of those other stories in this afternoon's race is Anthony Marsh, International Grand Prix race announcer. And Anthony, Alan Jones is this year's 1980 championship driver, but a lot of other stories are unfolding in the pits for this afternoon's race.
Yeah, the big story, of course, is Bruno Giacomelli on the pole for the first time in his career. This young Italian has been steadily developing his own driving in the Marlboro Alfa Romeo car, and at last they've got it on the pole, the biggest thing that's happened to them. And the other thing is Nelson Piquet, who so nearly got the World Championship. He just lost out in Canada last week, but he's on the front row alongside Bruno Giacomelli, and he so wants to win this race. If he couldn't have the championship, at least he'd like to win the last race in the series. But Alan Jones wants to crown his championship with a win here. He's on the third row, but I've seen Alan win from further back than that. So I think those are the things to watch for especially.
Okay, and we'll be talking with Anthony Marsh, and he'll be talking with drivers later on in the show. And right now, let's go to Paul Mann, who'll be calling all of the exciting racing action from Watkins-Glen.
Thank you, Don. We've got 24 cars going into the Toyota Grand Prix of the United States this afternoon. The race will be 200 miles long, 59 laps of this 3.37-mile circuit. 11 turns to the lap, many changes of gear, a very difficult course for the best Grand Prix drivers.
We'll be back with the lineup of the 1980 Toyota Pro Celebrity Race right after these messages.
Here's the Grand Prix lineup. Jochen Mass of West Germany, winner of the 1975 Spanish Grand Prix. Jody Scheckter of South Africa, 1979 world champion and retiring after this race. Derek Daly of Dublin, Ireland, former Formula 3 champion, looking for his first Grand Prix victory. Jean-Pierre Jarier of France, driving in Formula 1 since 1971, a record holder here at Watkins-Glen. Emerson Fittipaldi of Brazil, a two-time world champion, former Grand Prix winner here at the Glen. Riccardo Patrese of Italy, former Formula 3 European champion, only 26 years old. Eddie Cheever, American, 22 years old, driving in Formula One for the first year this year. Very quick. Gilles Villeneuve, French-Canadian, won here at the Glen last year in his Ferrari. Rupert Keegan, a British champion driver, has competed in Formula One since 1977. Kiki Rosberg from Finland, third in Argentina, fifth in Italy this year. Very fast. Alain Prost of France withdrawing today because of a practice injury. He'll be replaced by Dutchman Jan Lammers. Jacques-Henri Lafitte from France, winner of the 1980 German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. Mario Andretti, 1978 world champion, only the second American ever to win the championship, now 40 years old. Andrea De Cesaris of Italy. This is only his second Grand Prix, qualified 10th. John Watson, Irishman, 34 years old, sixth at Watkins-Glen last year. Hector Rabake of Mexico, sixth at the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. Didier Pironi of France, winner of the 1980 Belgian Grand Prix and third here at the Glen last year. Alan Jones, the new 1980 world champion from Australia, winner of 4 Grand Prix this year. René Arnoux of France, driving the only turbocharged car in this race, winner of 2 Grand Prix in the Renault Elf. Carlos Reutemann of Argentina, 2-time Glen Grand Prix winner, won Monaco this year. Helio De Angelis of Italy, teammate to Mario Andretti in the Lotus team. Nelson Piquet of Brazil, nearly world champion this year, won 3 Grand Prix. And finally, Bruno Giacomelli of Italy, fastest qualifier here at the Glen.
There, on the left, in the red Alfa Romeo, Bruno Giacomelli with the pressure really on him. His first pole position. Then Piquet, row 2, Reutemann and De Angelis. Then Jones and René Arnoux. And in row 4, Pironi and Hector Rabake in the second of the Brabhams. And now, on the warm-up lap, who better to take us round it than double American Grand Prix winner here at Watkins-Glen, James Hunt.
Well, thank you, Murray. That was, of course, a long time ago. Forgotten most of that, but the circuit hasn't changed very much, and it's certainly, for me, probably now, with the Nürburgring gone from the calendar, the most difficult driver's track on the calendar. It provides a variety of challenges. It's probably one of the most enjoyable to drive, as long as you stay on the prepared surface. It's got a bad reputation for the barriers, you know, which have been a bit bendy in the past, and of course some accidents. You wouldn't want to leave the track, but on it, it's certainly a great challenge. The cars have just come up through the chicane now. That was a fairly recent addition a few years ago to slow the cars down onto the straight. All that weaving about that you're seeing is, as you've no doubt been told several times, is the warming up of the tyres. I don't hold with that theory that it really gets a lot of heat in that self. I think that one of these days 2 people are going to be on the opposite legs and we're going to see them hit each other, which will be quite fun. But an early way to finish your race before everything starts. This is the difficult, fairly fast, about 4th gear corner at the end of the main straight. The cars are doing 180 miles an hour up into that corner. They just knock it down a couple of gears. They're coming down into slightly slower 3rd gear left-hand corner, long 180-degree corners, all these. There's plenty of room there, but they require a lot of setting up of the car in the corners. This is a right-hand, this is a 2nd gear right-hander uphill that they're going. Requires a lot of setting up of the car into the corner and round it. Now, of course, that the championship's over, one might be inclined to think that the drivers are going to be taking it a bit quietly, but in simple terms, I could give you a whole lot of reasons why each individual driver has his various bits of motivation for doing well in this race. But in simple terms, basically, they're all racers, and they wouldn't be in it. And quite frankly, when the green light goes on, the fact of the matter is that they can't help themselves, and which is as it should be. So all these guys will be giving it the usual 105, 110% today. The fact that the championship's dead means nothing to anybody. Piquet obviously wants to put the matter straight as far as he's concerned. Jones naturally wants very badly to underline his championship win. He'll be in a relaxed mood, and that, of course, very often makes for better driving with the pressure off. So they'll all be hard at it. And young Giacomelli, of course, that's his first pole position in a Grand Prix. A very good effort here. The Alfa Romeo was undoubtedly well suited to this track, because a powerful engine is definitely an advantage here, and they do have a big power advantage with over the other normally aspirated cars. So as they pull down into the last 2 corners, the difficult ones as they come on to finish this lap, there's a very fast left-hander followed by a nearly flat-out right-hander to come on to the start-finish straight. I'll hand you back to Murray Walker to take the start.
Well, it's cold at Watkins-Glen, and despite the fact that the track has been resurfaced, there's a lot of dirt on the sides of it. The drivers will have to take it very easy. 59 laps, and in the opening lap, 199 miles on the left. Pole position for the first time in his career, Bruno Giacomelli, with well over 500 horsepower. Now, watch Giacomelli, watch Piquet on the right. Away they go. Alan Jones on the left, coming up. He's right up alongside Reutemann. What a terrific start from Giacomelli. And Jones is through into second position as they go round the 90. The first turn, the right-hander. And somebody's off. That's a Williams car. That's a white car. Is it Alan Jones or is it Reutemann? If they go through, they're all... And the race car coming up at the back. But lap one, drama right at the beginning as they go up through the chicane. We'll look down the course hopefully in a minute and see who's leading. It's Giacomelli, and that looks like a Ligier behind him. It's
a Brabham,
it's not, it's a Brabham, it's Piquet, and Piquet trying to get through. Giacomelli cuts across, and so Bruno Giacomelli is leading a Grand Prix for the first time in his career. Nelson Piquet, the man who was so terrific in Canada, is in second position, and the third place man is Carlos Reutemann. So it must have been Alan Jones that went off on that first corner, because it was certainly a Williams car. There's Reutemann going round the right-hander in third position, the white car, and that looks like a blue and white Ligier behind him. Yes, just a flash of it there. It's Didier Pironi who is in fourth position. So lap one, Bruno Giacomelli. Right behind him, Nelson Piquet, with 3 wins already this season. There's the battle for the lead. Giacomelli, Piquet in second position. Then look for the white Williams of Carlos Reutemann. There it is, there is Reutemann. Pironi behind him, then De Angelis in fifth position in the Essex Lotus. And the first two coming up to complete lap one, and Alan Jones is definitely still in the race as they complete lap one with 58 laps still to go. But now Giacomelli is pacing it from the front. He's got a clear circuit in front of him, nothing to harass him, and he's had a lot of harassment.
Reutemann in number 28. He's the teammate of Alan Jones in the Saudi Leyland Williams. Fourth is Didier Pironi, number 25. Fifth is Elio De Angelis in number 12. Sixth is Rabacke in number 6. Seventh is Watson in number 7. In eighth is Jacques Lafitte. Ninth is Mario Andretti. Here again is your leader, Bruno Giacomelli, in the V12 Alfa Romeo. This is the first time this car has led a race. Bruno paying tribute to his tragically killed teammate Patrick Depailler in the German Grand Prix this year. The leader's already drawing away. Giacomelli and Nelson Piquet. Piquet looking for his 4th Grand Prix victory of this 1980 season. He just barely lost the championship in Canada at Montreal. Along this straightaway now, the speeds are getting up to 170 miles an hour. These cars are particularly fast in the corners. Very, very fast cornering speeds because of their aerodynamic ground effects. They maintain a vacuum underneath the car, and that makes them very fast through the turns. A crowd of 70,000 watching this race. Giacomelli leading it beautifully, hasn't made a mistake yet. Very difficult for a new driver to lead a Grand Prix for the first time, and especially when he's being harried by someone as experienced as Nelson Piquet. The weather here at Watkins-Glen is cool, overcast, perfect racing weather. Giacomelli now in his 3rd lap, nipping through the chicane. A tight right-left. A choke point to slow the cars down before they head on the straightaway. This straightaway is a 2% grade uphill, about 2/3 of a mile long. Giacomelli and Piquet pulling away from the field. Reutemann is still 3rd. Pironi 4th. De Angelis 5th. Rabacke 6th. Watson 7th. Lafitte 8th. Andretti 9th. Keegan is 10th. Alan Jones has moved up into 9th. Alan Jones has moved from 14th to 9th place. So apparently Jones' car was not damaged when he skated off turn 1 at the start of the race. We may see a tigering drive now from Alan Jones as he tries to regain the distance he lost when he got involved in a melee at the beginning of the event. Here's the leader, Bruno Giacomelli, 27 years old, born 10 September 1952. This is the first time he's even led a Grand Prix, much less won one. He's still being followed very closely by Piquet, but Piquet is watching and waiting. He's not really pushing hard on Bruno Giacomelli. We'll be back with more racing from the Glen after this timeout. Paul Mann back to the action here at the Glen. There you see the Marlboro.
Yes, I counted them. That 22. That's Andrea De Cesaris off already, and it was De Cesaris who went off behind Alan Jones on the first right-hander. We're on lap 4 now. Alan Jones rejoined in 12th position. I counted them as they went through. There's Piquet in 2nd position, Carlos Reutemann 3rd, Pironi 4th, De Angelis 5th, Ribarque in 6th position, and John Watson in the McLaren in 7th place, and Derek Daly out of a race yet again. What an appalling season the Irishman's had in the Candy Tyrrell. He's had 4 terrible crashes, and now he's out of the race with the car looking okay, and Derek walking back. Lap 5 out of 59. Giacomelli pulling away a bit from Nelson Piquet, and that's De Cesaris' Alfa Romeo, his 2nd Grand Prix, the young Italian who has driven in Formula 2 this season and done well in it, having won one Formula 2 race. And look at the way Bruno Giacomelli is going. This is only his...
Here's still Bruno Giacomelli driving a beautiful drive on a lovely, cool autumn day here at Watkins-Glen. Giacomelli in the number 23, Marlboro Alfa Romeo, has led this race from the beginning. 2nd is Nelson Piquet at number 5. Giacomelli, an Italian, leading his Grand Prix for the first time. This is the
2nd season of Grand Prix. And there's another Tyrrell. Well, it's a bad race for the Ken Tyrrell's team. Daly out of the race. That's his teammate, Jarrier, as we complete. And this is the battle for 6th. There's Reback, John Watson, and Alan Jones is up into 8th position. So on lap 8, Alan Jones, there are the first 6. Giacomelli, Piquet, Reutemann, Pironi, De Angelis, Reback. And on lap 8, Alan Jones has come through from 12th position to 8th.
Yes, that's terrific, Mike, because that, apart from being 8th, what more importantly, Jones is in touch with the leading bunch, really, because he's now on the tail of the whole leading bunch. Giacomelli is going away a little bit at the front, but apart from that, the bunch is moving pretty much in line astern, and if he's caught them up, hopefully...
Having ignition problems. Back to the leader, Bruno Giacomelli, driving number 23 Marlboro Alfa Romeo. 2nd, Nelson Piquet of Brazil. Giacomelli seeking his 1st Grand Prix victory. Nelson Piquet his 4th of the 1980 Grand Prix season. Giacomelli has about a 3-second lead over Piquet. 3rd is Carlos Reutemann in number 28. 4th is Didier Pironi. Pironi driving a Ligier Giton. 5th is Elio De Angelis in a Lotus. 6th, John Watson in a McLaren. 7th, Alan Jones. Alan Jones driving up through the field, having fallen back to 14th place after a first turn incident. And he's climbing steadily and almost certainly will be threatening for the lead. It will be interesting to see if Alan Jones can fight his way back up to behind Bruno Giacomelli. Right now, everything running like clockwork on Giacomelli's number 23 Marlboro Alfa Romeo. Giacomelli drove in Formula 3 racing before he came to Formula 1. He made his Formula 1 debut in 1978 for McLaren in the British Grand Prix, where he finished 7th. He drove this Alfa Romeo car at the end of 1979 in its debut with a V12 engine. He did not finish here at the Glen last year because of a first lap accident. So far, he's been driving away from the field with the exception of Nelson Piquet of Brazil. Giacomelli captured pole time with 1 minute 33.29 seconds, 130.315 miles per hour. A new race record here at Watkins-Glen, and he accomplished that feat in spite of the fact that there are 13 new patches of track, new patches of tarmac on this 3.37 mile circuit. So in some places it's very smooth and very slippery. Nevertheless, Bruno Giacomelli has set a new lap record and has led this race from the beginning. There you see him once again flashing down the pit straightaway, a short squirt where they get up to about 150 miles per hour and then head into a very hard right 90-degree turn. There you see the 3rd place car, Carlos Reutemann. Fourth is Didier Pironi. Fifth, Elio De Angelis. There's Pironi, followed by De Angelis. Rene Arnoux, number 16 Renault, is also having a great afternoon. He fell back after that first turn incident as well. He's driven from 20th to 14th place in just 10 laps. There you see Piquet lapping Jarrier's Candy-Tiro. Candy is an Italian domestic appliance manufacturer. Reutemann getting by him now. Jarrier, as we said, has been having ignition problems. Bruno Giacomelli still leading, going through the anvil. One of the more difficult parts of the course. In this natural amphitheater, excellent for spectating, as the cars double back on themselves. Nelson Piquet there, the number 5 Parmalat Brabham. Parmalat, not the name of the car. Parmalat, an Italian dairy products manufacturer. The car is a Brabham, an English-made car. There's number 6, Hector Rabaque, in the pits. He's got an engine problem. He's also had some tire changes today. Bruno Giacomelli, leading the 1980 Toyota Grand Prix of the United States. He's led it since lap 1. No one else at this point is threatening him, although should he have problems, Nelson Piquet is lying in wait in number 5. Alan Jones still moving up through the field. Jones was 9th on lap 3, 8th on lap 4, 8th on lap 8. He's jockeying now with John Watson for 7th position.
We may see some good attacking driving from him to try and come through that bunch.
And Carlos Reutemann now challenging Nelson Piquet. And Reutemann is fastest so far because early on in the race he did a lap in 1 minute 36.5, which is some 4 seconds inside the 1978 lap record put up by Jarrier. The battle for second, it's Piquet, Reutemann. Just behind them is Didier Pironi, and then behind Pironi, De Angelis, and there is the Italian. There, Pironi, De Angelis, another lap completed.
Giacomelli with about a 4.5 second lead, and there you see Riccardo Patrese, who has crashed into the catch fencing. Patrese is trapped in his number 29 Vorsteiner Arrows. He's trying.
So, with 16 laps completed, and that is Riccardo Patrese. And that is a problem of the catch fencing.
Yes, that is the trouble with catch fencing. He appears to be trapped in the car there. I don't think he's suffered any damage, and nor has the car much. But of course, that could be quite a serious situation if, for instance, the car was on fire or there was some other disaster that
fire-like catch fencing. Riccardo Patrese still trapped in his number 29 Vorsteiner Arrows. There you see the second and third place cars, Nelson Piquet and Carlos Reutemann, lapping Emerson Fittipaldi. Piquet and Reutemann, I beg your pardon, they lap Kiki Rosberg in the number 21 Skoll Fittipaldi. That's the second place car, number 5, Nelson Piquet. A battle going on for second.
Whereby he needed quick rescue, quick work. The fencing can really tangle a driver up.
And there, with Bruno Giacomelli way ahead now, because he's built up a lead of some 5 seconds as Riccardo Patrese gets out of the car, and you can see he is perfectly okay, but it must have been a very nasty experience with that netting roof over him. And that is Arnoux's car. It's got to be Arnoux because Jabouille, of course, is in hospital, and Alan Jones is speeding up. Fastest lap, 1 minute 34.9. And that's over a second and a half quicker than his teammate Carlos Reutemann's previous fastest lap as we look at the battle for second position. And Reutemann waving his hand at Piquet in front of him, saying, let me through, but I don't imagine that Nelson Piquet's about to do that.
No, Piquet's been making himself really very difficult. He's been taken to the inside line whenever Reutemann's been threatening, which at this stage of a Grand Prix, when you're not leading, I always think is a little bit naughty. He can fight Reutemann from the conventional line. You really, if he can't fight him from there, he shouldn't do. But he's in second place and he's holding it. I suppose it's his to defend in whatever way he wants, as long as he does nothing dangerous. But it's a good battle. Reutemann's certainly getting a little bit upset with his tactics.
Second, third, fourth and fifth, because Piquet followed by Reutemann, second and third. And then, just behind them, you can see the battle between Pironi and De Angelis in a moment. There goes the Brabham chased, and there is Pironi, the Frenchman who is going to Ferrari after this race. and he is now in 4th position ahead of Elio De Angelis. Behind Elio De Angelis is Jones, and Jones is fastest. He's gone round faster again.
Yes, Piquet there taking the inside into that corner, making Reutemann. Oh, they're very close, and Reutemann's being forced to go the long way round, which makes it virtually impossible. And meanwhile, because they're messing each other about, Pironi has just about caught them up again, and that, of course, is the problem. But Piquet taking the inside line, he's not quite as quick. And now Pironi is threatening. We got the whole group all together. This is terrific stuff.
It's even more terrific because now into the picture comes Alan Jones, because the 5th of those cars, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, is Alan Jones, who has stormed up. He is now closing up on Elio De Angelis in the Essex Lotus, who is behind Pironi, and there is Reutemann in 3rd position. So we're looking at the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th and the 6th as they go up through the chicane. And Hector Ribach in the Brabham, who was in 6th position, has gone into the pits. So Piquet on his way, pulling away a little from Carlos Reutemann, who has got right behind him Didier Pironi. Then Elio De Angelis, and the Essex Lotus cars are going well in this race. They're both still in the running because Mario Andretti, who has had such an appalling season, is in the race in about 8th position. And there is Ribach rejoining, coming out of the pits, Giacomelli, the leader. Behind him in the background, Jody Scheckter, who qualified, of course, there he is, the 1979 world champion in his last drive, because this is his last Grand Prix before he retires. And there is the battle for 2nd. Piquet, Reutemann, round the 90, then downhill a bit. It's still Pironi right behind them, the Ligier holding on as they go up through the chicane. There's Pironi. There behind Pironi is Alan Jones. Alan Jones closing up on Pironi and ahead of De Angelis then. So Alan Jones has started to move through the field. He's really got the bit between his teeth. The world champion has carved a great slice of the circuit, as it were, and now he is closing right up. Reutemann in 3rd position. There's Pironi. So it's a V12 Alfa Romeo in the lead, and then the Ford V8 powered cars behind him, but different makes. The Brabham there of Piquet, the Williams of Carlos Reutemann in 3rd position, the Ligier of Pironi, then Alan Jones. Now, is Alan Jones going to be able to close up on these 3 cars in front of him? 2nd, the 3rd, Reutemann, the 4th, Pironi, the 5th, the world champion.
Yes, of course, as they get closer and closer to Alan's speed, he gets nearer the front of the race. Each car individually gets a little bit harder to pass, but he's certainly charging well, and he's got all the pressure off him now. He's got the championship under his belt. He'll for sure be driving with a great deal of confidence.
But let us not forget, as we watch this terrific... And Alan Jones coming out of Pironi's slipstream. And it's Piquet off at the 90, into the catch fencing. His car stops. I can't see whether it's damaged. It probably isn't, because he wasn't going very fast.
I don't know what happened there, Murray. He just suddenly seemed to go off the road. I don't know whether something went wrong with the car, whether he just got a little bit wide, because if you get a little bit offline, especially on this where they've resurfaced the track there, it gets very slippery. There's a lot of dust and rubber dust as the race progresses, and in one wheel out of line, yeah, he's getting out. He's fine. He didn't really. I'm sure the car isn't even damaged. The fence just stopped him. He was virtually stopped already.
Lap 25 coming up to half distance. Nelson Piquet, 2nd in the World Championship, and he seems to be determined to go on, waving his hand as if to say, come on over, give me a shove, get me out of here. Now, what's he going to do?
I think he made the mistake.
The question is, will he be disqualified if he keeps going? Because he will have had outside assistance. Now, this looks like a replay. Let's watch Piquet very carefully as he goes round the 90. Yes, there is Reutemann.
He was a little bit wide going in there, Murray, as you saw. And you saw the puff of dust. I told you about the dust and the dirt being nice and slippery there, making it a bit awkward. He got on the slippery stuff. There was a bit of a puff off his...
He's waving now to the track marshal. Waving to the track marshal. Piquet, winner this year of 3 Grand Prix at Long Beach, Zandvoort.
Tires, and that was his trouble. He just went in a bit wide and made error. There's a lot of pressure with those 4 cars, all a bit quicker than him, breathing down his neck.
So, lap 25. Piquet out of the running as far as World Championship points are concerned. Maybe he's going to get back. But Carlos Reutemann now is up into second place. And behind him, Didier Pironi. In fourth position now, Alan Jones. And there they go into another lap with Elio De Angelis behind them in fifth place. And sure enough, Nelson Piquet is getting a push. Watch the back wheels and see if they stop. Because if they do, or slow up, that will mean he's dropped the clutch and he's trying to get a start. Jody Scheckter being passed.
There's Piquet firing up his engine and moving back to the circuit very gingerly indeed. Nelson Piquet spinning.
Driving back to the pits.
Well, he won't be very competitive anyway. He's lost over a lap. I was just thinking, of course, he'll be glad he got that mistake out of his system this year. So he's ready to start with a nice clean slate for his challenge next year on the championship. Because with the car going so well, he must, at this particular moment, look like the firm favourite for the championship next year.
Indeed, Nelson Piquet's star very much in the ascendant. And there is Giacomelli. And I was saying earlier on, we were watching that terrific battle for second place. Let us not forget that Bruno Giacomelli is driving the race of his life in an Alfa Romeo. And that is a mark which came out of racing in 1951. In the background, there is Mark Sura, and he's about to be lapped by the second place man Reutemann, and Jones taking Pironi. Pironi moves over. Jones in fourth place, and Alan Jones is on his way. There is no doubt at all about the fact that Alan Jones intends to have a go for victory in this race, though he'll have a job to catch Giacomelli. Let's watch it.
Jones will be trying to work. It's one of these circuits where to overtake somebody, you need to plan your build-up. The easy place here to overtake is at the end of the main straight, obviously, to get a toe up it. And to do that now, they're getting towards the end of the lap now. Alan Jones, from now until the chicane, will be trying to position himself so that when he goes through the chicane, he's about 5-10 yards behind the Ligier, and hopefully going a little bit faster than him, so he'll be working hard to keep it close. He's very well placed at the moment. They've got the left and the right, then down to the 90 to go. He's perfectly placed now because he's got to have it exactly right, because of course Pironi will have the advantage of when Jones pulls out of his slipstream, Pironi will still be following the others.
There goes Reutemann past Sura. There goes Jones looking from behind Pironi's slipstream.
Yeah, this should help him. The back marker being in the way should help Jones, because he may just hold Pironi up a little bit through the chicane.
And he's trying again all the time. Alan Jones is trying to get through, but
he's perfectly placed now. You see, he's the ideal 5 yards behind him going onto the straight. He'll get a good toe.
Sura moves over, lets Pironi through. Jones right up alongside Pironi. Jones is through. He's got ahead. He's got his front wheels ahead of Pironi. Pironi moves ahead of Sura, and Alan Jones in the Saudia Leyland Williams moves up into third position behind his teammate Carlos Reutemann, and there is Reutemann. But the fastest man on the circuit is Bruno Giacomelli, who has just gone round in 1 minute 34.8, over 130 miles an hour, and 5 seconds faster than the 1978 lap record put up by Jean-Pierre Jarier. And that is Nelson Piquet. He was obviously just driving back to give himself a lift back to the pits, telling Bernie Ecclestone there in the dark glasses behind the man. And there is Giacomelli. Giacomelli has now got a lead of some 11 seconds over the second place man.
Incidentally, for those viewers who are wondering whether Reutemann will help his teammate Jones past, particularly with the championship finished, believe you me, there will be no help or assistance from Reutemann. He'll be fighting every inch of the way, and Jones will have to treat him like any other rival. In fact, probably a tougher one than most, because of course people driving the same car in the same team, there's personal pride at stake now, because the one person you always have to beat is your own teammate if you possibly can, because you can't after the race turn around and say, well, he had a better car than me. So they'll be fighting particularly hard on a point of pride for that place.
There is another quick lap from Giacomelli, and this is only his 23rd Grand Prix. The man who was Formula 3 champion of Britain in the Shell Sport Series in 1979, who was Formula 2 champion of Europe in 1978, who had a pretty thin season in 1979, but who joined the Alfa Romeo team. And now he's coming up to Rupert Keegan, the British driver in the Williams, which has now been updated to the latest specification. And look back along the circuit, you can see the gap between Giacomelli, who has gone round the 90, and there's the second, and Jones is now right with Carlos Reutemann, pulling away from Pironi and challenging for second.
Jones again has got himself in just the right position. They're going sweeping in down into the chicane now. He wants to brake a little earlier than Reutemann and then accelerate a bit earlier so that he's sweeping through, and he looks to have done it just right. He's in the perfect position to get the toe. He was through the chicane very quickly, and they're in equal cars with the advantage of the toe. Jones will walk past Reutemann on the straight. Now look at that, he pulls out of the toe. Reutemann wisely making him go the long way round so that Jones on the outside for the corner, but he's already that car length clear and is able to take second place and take the corner the way he wants. We can now see if he can go away from his teammate.
And it's still Pironi in fourth place, but now with a clear circuit in front of him, can Alan Jones close the gap between himself and Bruno Giacomelli? 12th on lap 1, second on this lap, and he is now only got Bruno Giacomelli on lap 30 ahead of him, and between him and his 6th Grand Prix win of 1980. But Giacomelli is well in a rhythm. The car is obviously reliable. It's going extremely well. He's not being harassed. He's had a lot of trouble in previous races trying to get past people and being too impetuous, and he's gone off. But look at this battle for second position. There's Reutemann, who is third, and behind him Pironi, who is in fourth position.
Yes, well, Giacomelli seems to have a clear advantage. He was a lot faster than the others in practice. He was about 8/10 quicker than the next man, and it would require some turnaround for Jones to be able to do anything about him. And of course Giacomelli's probably been stroking a little bit. He's got about a 10 to 12 second lead. We haven't had the watch on it just recently, but we'll get the watch on it and then we'll see if Jones is managing to make any impression on him. But I suspect that if Jones does make any impression, Giacomelli's probably got a little bit in hand and be able to speed up a bit to respond.
The positions as Reutemann comes up alongside Alan Jones, and they're going to lap Jarier, both of them. Is Reutemann going to retake second place? No, he's not. So it's Giacomelli leading Alan Jones in second place. Reutemann is in third position. In fourth position, it's Pironi. Fifth is Elio De Angelis. Sixth is John Watson having another storming drive. And in seventh position behind him, the second of the two Ligiers, Jacques Lafitte, the Frenchman, at the wheel. But this is the excitement in East on the resurfaced circuit here at Watkins-Glen. The battle for second between the two Williams teammates.
Oh, it's nice to see Reutemann responding so well. Alan Jones seemed to come up to him and get past him quite easily, and quite honestly, on that form, I expected Alan to go away, but Reutemann's responding very well indeed and giving Alan a real fight at the moment.
And Pironi is holding on well, second, third and fourth, with only about 4 or 5 seconds between them. And they're over half distance in this race, 59 lap race, 200 miles. There is the leader. There is Bruno Giacomelli, who seems to have it beautifully sized up. His teammate, Andrea De Cesaris, in his second Grand Prix, out of the running. And there's the difference between Giacomelli and Jones. 11.9 seconds, and Jones has still got almost half a race to close that gap if he can, as Giacomelli comes up to the 1978 on lap 32, comes up to the 1978 world champion, Mario Andretti. And
oh, he's stopping.
Giacomelli's slowing down. Now, Villeneuve goes straight past the Alfa Romeo, and there's a flash from the back. It looked as though for a moment as though the Alfa Romeo was on fire because there was a flash of something. James?
Yeah, something. It looks like an engine blow-up, I think. Fairly straightforward. Jones sweeps by into the lead. What bad luck on Giacomelli. He'd done everything right. He was doing a very competent, straightforward job and controlling the race, and that, unfortunately, is the way it goes in motor racing.
Well,
in the pits, it would be impossible for him to push back. He's lost too much time. And here we see our leaders, 1 and 2, the Saudi Leylands of Alan Jones and Carlos Reutemann, about to lap Rupert Keegan in car number 50. Once again, the Saudi Leyland Williams cars are running 1-2 in a Grand Prix. Keegan getting off into the dirt. Jones moving sharply and briskly to the right. The lap is back marker. Rupert Keegan lying 10th. Sandwiched between the Saudi Leylands. So, a tremendous reversal in fortunes for Bruno Giacomelli. Alan Jones very, very lucky not to have damaged his car in that first turn excursion. There you see a very disappointed Giacomelli looking at the engine of his car, throwing his head back in disappointment. There's the leader, Alan Jones. Lady Luck is with him today, the number 27 Saudi Leyland. Jones has about 27 laps to go. The race is a little bit better than half over. Alan Jones has the lead. Here he's lapping Gilles Villeneuve, the French-Canadian driver in the red Ferrari. Jones lapping the back cars very swiftly with no problem. Villeneuve, the winner here last year, in a car that's been much slower during the 1980 season. A superb and well-judged drive through the field performed by Alan Jones, driving from 14th to first place in just 31.5 laps, inheriting the lead from Bruno Giacomelli, and so of course unfortunately we'll never know what would have been the outcome of a duel between these two. But nevertheless, you have to give Jones a great deal of credit for a well-timed charge. And here's the crew, the Saudi Leyland crew with Frank Williams in the white hat and the visor. He's the genius behind this team, along with designer Patrick Head, Frank Gurney. There's the leader, Alan Jones, in number 27. Sponsored by Saudi Airlines and the British manufacturing company Leyland. The leader is Alan Jones. Second is Carlos Reutemann. We'll have more racing from the Glen after this timeout. The Mislu Isolite shows us Alan Jones skittering off the course in turn 1 at the start of the 1980 U.S. Grand Prix, and this shows you just how close he came to losing all the marbles right here. Now we find him in the lead, having climbed up through the field after 32 laps, inheriting the lead from Bruno Giacomelli. And there he is, Alan Jones, the leader in number 27, the Saudi Leyland Williams. Just about to lap Mario Andretti, who's down in 6th position in number 11, the Team Essex Lotus. There they go down through the anvil. Alan Jones, the 1980 world champion, can pick off his 5th victory here. He's been the winner at Argentina, France, Brands Hatch in Britain, and at the Canadian Grand Prix. He was 2nd in Belgium, Austria, and Imola, 3rd at Brazil and Germany. He's had 3 pole positions this year. Alan Jones has had an excellent record of reliability, as has his teammate Carlos Reutemann, who is now 2nd in the Saudi Leyland number 28. Reutemann has finished in the points in every race in the last 9 races. There's the leader, Alan Jones, just about to lap Jochen Maas in number 30, the Warsteiner Arrows. Reutemann 2nd, right there. There he is, number 28. Lying 3rd is Didier Pironi in the Ligier Giton. 4th, Elio De Angelis, number 12, Team Lotus. 5th, John Watson in number 7. 6th, Jacques Lafitte in number 26. Mario Andretti, the American champion, is now 7th. Mario Andretti, in number 11, is now 7th. Back to the leader, Alan Jones in the Saudi Leyland. You'll see the word Albalad painted on that car. Albalad is the name of the Royal Trading Company through which the royal family of Saudi Arabia carries out all of their business transactions. Overall, the car is sponsored by Saudi Airlines. You'll also see other strange names on the car, like Technique Avant-Garde, or TAG, T-A-G. This is a firm based in Paris. It deals in aviation and electronics. There you see the red car, the red Alfa Romeo, Bruno Giacomelli, up in the middle of your screen, off to the right. Just where he parked it after 31.5 laps, he retired with ignition problems. He lost all the electrics on that car after leading from the fall of the green flag. No one except Nelson Piquet had really challenged Bruno Giacomelli, and Piquet himself retired after a spin in turn 1. So the leaders, numbers 27 and 28, Alan Jones and Carlos Reutemann. Reutemann from Argentina, a two-time winner of the U.S. Grand Prix. And if Alan Jones should retire for some reason, Carlos Reutemann, his teammate, would be right there to...
This time, nobody can blame Giacomelli, but there is the new race leader, the reigning world champion, who clinched it last weekend in Canada, Alan Jones. But the second of the two Williams cars, Reutemann, is in the same position in this race in America as he was last weekend as they complete another lap in Canada. And if they go on the way they're going now, if for the rest of this 59-lap race with Pironi there behind them in third position, it means that Frank Williams is going to have surely the best season ever for a Formula One team, because he is going to have had the World Championship for the driver, the World Championship for the constructors, and in the last two Grand Prix, first and second, and not a single breakdown for both two team cars in the last 8 Grand Prix. A quite incredible performance. Jones past Charrier, who, don't forget, has been into the pits. This is lap 39, so there's another...
Ladies and gentlemen, these Formula One cars you're watching are much different from the Indianapolis-type cars, which most American racing fans are used to watching on television. These cars are lighter, they're smaller, and they're less powerful, but they're more agile. They're designed for road circuits rather than for ovals. These cars weigh 1,265 pounds, which is only a third or a fourth of what your own personal car probably weighs. There you see a new lap record by Alan Jones, 134.198. He's not slowing down, even though he's established the lead. As we were saying, these cars are very light, only 1,265 pounds. The engines develop about 500 horsepower, depending on which engine you're talking about. The kind of engine that Alan Jones is racing here develops about 500 horsepower. It's 13 years old, but it's won 10 world championships and 135 races. It's called a Cosworth 4. Jochen Mass is out of the race. Jochen Mass has retired. The West German driver is out. He nearly didn't start this Grand Prix because of a neck injury he suffered at Austria. Here again the leader, Alan Jones, in number 27, Saudi Leyland. Jones is leading. Second is Carlos Reutemann, his teammate, in number 28. Still lying third is Didier Pironi, the French driver, in number 25. Fourth, Elio De Angelis in number 12. Fifth is Jacques Lafitte in number 26. Mario Andretti is sixth, but 1 lap behind. Mario Andretti, the great American champion, is in 6th position.
20 laps to go, and that is John Watson. Well, it's been a very checkered Grand Prix season for John Watson. He was in 5th position at the time he went into the pits there, and he wasn't getting out of the car, so maybe he's going on.
Yeah, it looks as if they were signalling the end of his day, but shame that John Watson hasn't been able to get a result. He's had such a nice revival at the end of this most terrible season for him. Yes, he's unstrapped himself.
Who had been lying 5th, has retired. And now to an Alan Jones interview with Anthony Marsh.
The resurfacing, has it made some improvement?
I think it's taken a few of the bumps off the apex of the corner, but the problem is there's still a bump now on the change of surface where they've resurfaced it.
So this makes the car a little bit difficult to control, does it?
Yeah, and plus the new surface is still a bit slippery.
What did Beverly say when you called her from Montreal and told her that she was married to the world champion?
She said, thank God for that, you'll be easier to live with now.
Alan Jones, the 33-year-old Australian, only the second man in history, only the second Australian in history to be world champion. Jack Brabham did it in 1959, 1960, and 1966, and Alan Jones has done it again in 1980, but he wants to notch up his 5th Grand Prix victory right here at Watkins-Glen. Alan Jones got his start in kart racing in 1963 when he became Australian kart champ. Since then, he's been very competitive and very successful. He did not finish here at Watkins-Glen in 1979, so victory here this year would be particularly sweet. Why? Well, because Alan Jones lost the right rear wheel nearly toward the end of the race last year, owing to faulty pit work by his team. It was a heartbreaking loss. He came into the pits to change tires. The right rear wheel was not attached tightly enough, and several hundred yards away from the pit, he lost the right rear wheel and the 1979 Glen Grand Prix victory. But now, barring some other unforeseen problem, it looks as if Alan Jones will be the 1980 Grand Prix victor in the United States Grand Prix, and it looks as if it will be a Saudi Leyland 1-2. Carlos Reutemann from Argentina, two-time winner here at the Glen, is second in number 28, the companion car to Alan Jones' Saudi Leyland. Carlos Reutemann is 38 years old, 5 years older than his teammate. He was born April 12, 1942. Here we see the Saudi team in the pits, headed by Frank Williams, and the design staff of Patrick Head, Frank Gurney, and Neil Oakley. We were talking about Carlos Reutemann, who won the Monaco Grand Prix this year. He won the U.S. Grand Prix here at the Glen in 1974 and 1978, and a Brabham and a Ferrari, respectively. Reutemann did not finish here last year. He drove in a Lotus. He's been driving in Grand Prix racing since 1972, when he made his debut for the Brabham team. Reutemann has had an incredible reliability record this year. First, as we said, at Monaco. He was second at Germany and Canada. Third at Zolder, Brands Hatch, Austria, and Imola. Fourth at Zandvoort. Fifth in South Africa. Sixth in France. In fact, he has 10 career wins, and he's finished in his last 9 races. A superb tribute to the reliability of the Saudi Leyland Williams team. The Williams team, headquartered in England, but sponsored by Saudi Airlines, and also by British Leyland. Alan Jones leading, and we'll have more racing from the Glen after this timeout.
Getting back in the car, but I don't think that'll be for any serious major racing now. By the time they've strapped him back in again, he'll be well gone.
So, lap 50, that's Villeneuve, lap 51, Villeneuve's hit something, and look at that great puff of dust and smoke, and the marshal running across to the Armco. Villeneuve's all right. That's the Ferrari, and look at the left rear tyre. That's it. It looks as though a tyre's gone again, and Villeneuve is obviously quite all right. He's had some really hairy crashes this.
Back to the action here at Watkins-Glen, poleman trackside, and Alan Jones leading in the number 27 Saudi Leyland Williams, looks set to capture his 5th Grand Prix victory of the 1980 season. He's led since the middle of the 31st lap and has never been headed. He inherited the lead after Bruno Giacomelli retired with electrical problems. Only Giacomelli and Alan Jones have led this U.S. Grand Prix. Second is Carlos Reutemann, Jones's teammate, in number 28. Third, Didier Pironi in number 25. Fourth, Elio De Angelis in number 12. Fifth, Jacques Lafitte in number 26. And sixth, America's own Mario Andretti. 1 lap down, but nevertheless looking to capture his first point in the 1980 World Championship tables. However, he's still in a tussle with René Arnoux of France in the Renault Elf, and the 6th place position is still in doubt. Down in 8th place, 2 laps behind, is Marc Surer of Switzerland in the ATS. In 9th position, Rupert Keegan in the British-made Ram Williams, and bringing up 10th, Jody Scheckter of South Africa, 3 laps down in his number 1 Ferrari, driving his last Grand Prix of his career here at Watkins-Glen. There again, the leader, Alan Jones, racing by your screen, up through the chicane, up the hill, and down along the straightaway. He's closing in toward victory now in this 59-lap race.
And I'm sure he'll be glad to see the last of it. But his teammate, Jody Scheckter, the 1979 world champion, in his very last Grand Prix before he retires, qualified well enough to get round about the 18th or 19th position on the grid in his Ferrari. He's going to complete the American Grand Prix if he goes on the way he is now. And so, for that matter, is that man, number 27, Alan Jones, on lap 57. So there's only this lap and 2 more to go between this and his 6th Grand Prix win of 1980. And Alan Jones coming up now, the reigning world champion, coming up to lap the previous world champion. And as you see, Jacques Lafitte has moved up to 5th, and René Arnoux in the sole turbocharged Renault is in 6th position. And the 1980 champion rushes past the 1979 champion and starts his last lap but 1. So Jones now goes into that round the 90, away up to the chicane for the 58th time. Behind him, Reutemann. Behind Reutemann is Didier Pironi. Behind Didier Pironi in fourth position, Elio De Angelis. And Jones has lapped everybody up to De Angelis, who is in fourth place, with Lafitte in fifth and sixth place. Alan Jones ending the season in triumph, but it's going to be, I'm sorry to say, a rather messy ending to the World Championship Series of 1980, because there is a political battle raging between FOCA, the Formula One Constructors Association, and FISA, the international governing body of the sport, about how the specification for cars for next season should go. There's a big argument. I won't go into all the details of it, but there is an eyeball-to-eyeball, head-to-head confrontation between these two powerful bodies, and next season is absolutely wide open. And we can only hope that with 3 months to go, that there is not going to be some dreadful schism as a result of which Formula One, the greatest formula of them all, suffers to the detriment of the constructors, the organisers, the drivers, and we enthusiasts. And, of course, the sponsors who won't like it very much. And Alan Jones must be liking this, because now he is into his last lap, lap 59. Reutemann still within striking distance of him, and Alan Jones on the last lap.
Yes, lovely way to wind up the season. Alan is a little bit of a disappointing finish to the championship. It would always have been nice for him to have won it in style last weekend, and it was sad that Piquet broke down and handed it to on a plate. So of course it's nice to be able to round it off like this. He must be feeling well pleased to round off his season of triumph with a win in the last race, assuming of course that he gets it to the line. It's been a sad year from the point of view of accidents. Formula One safety has not improved. Our thoughts go out to for Patrick Depailler, who was killed in the middle of the season in a testing accident, and for his family. Clay Regazzoni with that tragic accident that's left him so terribly injured, with the back injuries that he received at Long Beach. And of course Jean-Pierre Jabouille, who had a very nasty accident himself last weekend, but I gather that his legs, although broken, are not too serious, and that he's on the mend and will be back driving again for the start of next season. But that's the sort of accident level we can't afford to have, and while the powers be argue and fight, let's hope that as well as improving the formula and improving the racing for entertainment, they'll also improve the safety for the drivers and the participants in general.
7 wins for Frank Williams' team, 6 of them here for Alan Jones, 1 for Reutemann. Up to the checkered flag and past it goes Alan Jones. What a wonderful way to finish his 1980 World Championship year on the highest note possible. A win, yet another one, for this gritty Australian, who is following in the wheel tracks of Sir Jack Brabham, the 3 times Australian world champion of the past. And Alan Jones, of course, goes into the winter on a very high note. So Jones wins, Reutemann second, third Pironi, Elio De Angelis in the Essex Lotus fourth, then the Ligier of Jacques Lafitte, and in a fine 6th place, Mario Andretti has finally finished a race and got a point. And the World Championship positions, Alan Jones pulls away, Piquet still second, Reutemann holds his 3rd position, Lafitte moves up to 4th, Didier Pironi, his teammate, in 5th place before he goes to Ferrari, and another Frenchman in 6th position, René Arnoux. So that ends the 1980 World Championship season. Now the designers work, the drivers rest a little, and we, all of us, look.
Australia, 2nd, Carlos Reutemann, 3rd, Didier Pironi, 4th, Elio De Angelis, 5th, Jacques Lafitte, Mario Andretti finishes 6th. Now let's go to Victory Circle, and Anthony Marsh talks with the winner, Alan Jones.
That was great fun to watch.
Yeah, it wasn't great fun to do.
Anyway, here we are then, another win. You must be very, very pleased. It really finishes off your championship year.
Rounds it off nicely, yeah, I'm delighted.
Thank you very much, Alan. And now, René Dreyfus will present the beautiful bowl to Alan Jones.
On behalf of the Toyota US, I'm glad to give you a second cup. You got the one for the World Championship. This is a good confirmation. Congratulations to you.
So René Dreyfus, the Grand Marshal, a great French racing driver, the winner of the 1930 Monaco Grand Prix among many other races, presents the Toyota Grand Prix Winners' Cup to Alan Jones here at Watkins-Glen.
Well, there you have it. Alan Jones has capped his World Championship with a win here in the 1980 Toyota US Grand Prix here in Watkins-Glen, New York. A fantastic race. The weather turned out great, a great crowd here, and we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us for this great race this afternoon. On behalf of the entire Ms. Lou crew, Anthony Marsh, who is our color commentator, and Paul Mann, our action play-by-play man, this is Don Earl saying thanks for joining us and bidding you goodbye from Watkins-Glen, New York.
Jody Scheckter, the 1979 world champion. This is your last race for Ferrari, your last Grand Prix. How much does it mean to you?
Well, I think in one way it's the last race. I mean, it's a sentimental race for me because, in fact, my first Grand Prix was here at Watkins-Glen in '72, and now my last Grand Prix is here in Watkins-Glen. And the thing is that I've won the world champion. I retired as world champion, but we've had a very bad season this year. And I would like, although I'm not doing well, I would like to end my career the same way as I started, doing very well, and because it's silly to work hard for 8 or 9 years and go out on a bad score. So I'm a bit disappointed we aren't doing better.
Forward to 1981.